right, let's go. Let's do a quick overview of the week 2 games. I'm just going to read through them, and then I said top 4 games. I have 5. I feel like me and you probably might have the same games. So our Thursday night football game this week, we have the Buffalo Bills at Miami. Spread plus 2.5, over under 48.5. Probably going to be a good game. Next game, New Orleans Saints at Dallas Cowboys. Line plus 6.5, 46.5 over under. Honestly, reading that right now, I feel like the over might be kind of a good play right there. Next game, Tampa Bay at Lions. 7.5 point spread. Over under 51.5. I think that thing's going to be an absolute shootout. Next game, Jacksonville, Cleveland Browns, plus 3.5, over under 41.5. San Fran at Vikings, minus 6.5. They're on the road, 6.5 point favorites. Over under 45.5. Maybe I'm not doing this the most optimal way, but I'll keep reading through these. Los Angeles Chargers at Carolina Panthers. Chargers are 5.5 point favorites on the road. 38.5 over under. Las Vegas Raiders at Ravens. That's going to be terrible. They're 8.5 point favorites. The over under is 41.5 in that game. Seahawks at Patriots. Seahawks are 3.5 point favorites on the road against the best football team in the league, the New England Patriots, and the over under is an astounding 37.5 points. Next game, looking at this earlier, this line to me like just reeks, and we'll get into this in a little bit. Indianapolis Colts at Green Bay. The Colts are -3 on the road against the Packers, against the Malik Willises. And then, I don't know, I just feel like, and then the over-under is 41 even. I don't know, that game's weird to me. I feel like that it should probably be a little bit more just because the fighting Malik Willis is like, he's just not very good, but we'll get into that. New York Jets at Titans, 3.5 point favorites on the road, over-under 40.5. Dude, there's so many games. I wish I didn't do this. New York Giants. I'm stuck now. New York Giants at Commanders. Shit bowl game of the week. New York is 1.5 point underdogs on the road to the Commanders. The over under this game is 44.5. Jaden Daniels might die in this game. And then the next game on the 4 o'clock slate, to kick off the 4 o'clock slate, LA Rams at the Arizona Cardinals. Cardinals are 1.5 point favorites against the Rams, against their JV offensive line. The over-under is 49.5. And then Bengals at Kansas City, plus 5.5. Over-under 47.5. There are so many games. Pittsburgh at the Denver Broncos, -2.5 on the road against the Broncos. Over-under crazy low, 36.5.
36.5.
And then we can get into the night game. The Chicago Bears at the Houston Texans. Bears are 6.5 point favorites on the road. The over under for that game is 45.
Bears are 6.5 point underdogs.
Underdogs on the road. The over under is 45.5. I cannot wait to talk about that game. That line seems incredibly too high. Let's get into it. What is your first game that you would like to talk about this week? And mine, to preface, would be Bills at Dolphins. I don't know if you have that. If you do, let's talk about it.
I did not have that because I kind of had a feeling that you would. I mean, that's just probably the best game of the week. So I assumed that one of us would have it. Like I said, I think this is going to be the best game of the week. I think that this has the potential to just be an absolute points fest. Okay. I'm not really sold on either one of these defenses quite yet, but I don't think the line's lying here. I think this is going to be a close game. But what do you think?
I think probably obviously something to note right away. Raheem Mostert's out with a chest. Achane did practice today, but he will be a game time decision. Just going into the game banged up, you might see him on a snap count. You might see him get re-injured during the game, take him out. If they start resorting to their third and fourth string running back in an offense where we really love their running game, but you saw last week that the Jacksonville Jaguars kind of had their running game under complete lock. Achane finished with like 23 yards. Raheem Mostert had like under 20 yards, I believe. Just not a strong showing from that run game. But obviously, you have fireworks with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle and Tua to be able to make up for that. But a team that's so heavily relied on that run game, I would definitely make a note of that if you start dipping into your third and fourth string, that could be a big deal.
What is that going to look like? Jeff Wilson and Jalen Wright?
Yeah. The next thing that I would point out is, and I said it against when they played the Cardinals, I've never seen a team look so bad on offense and put up 31 points. It was the weirdest, most clunky way to get to 31 points I've ever seen in my entire life. What I would like to see out of the Bills before I start trusting them moving forward is who is going to be the guy to kind of step up in their receiving room. I didn't think anybody did that good of a job last week. Kincaid finished with 2 targets. That's somebody who you and myself thought would be a very big feature of this offense. But I think that the Bills are going to probably have the best rushing attack, like top 3 rushing attack in the entire league with James Cook and Josh Allen. And I think that that's going to be really, really hard to stop. So that's what I would go lean towards at this time is the fighting Josh Allens, and the running attack is going to be something to that's going to give them a nod over a lot of these teams. And I actually do think that they go out and beat the Dolphins. And from, you said, like a points fest, last week was such a weird week. And I think that has to do with teams not playing in preseason. And I almost want to ask you is, do you think that it's going to take a few weeks for these offenses to really start clicking to where we see teams put up big points, big throwing performances? Because across the league last week, the average yards of all the quarterbacks that played were 185 yards. And we finished with that week on the first week of the NFL with 34 passing touchdowns, which is the lowest of the last 6 years. Do you think that continues into week 2? Or do you think that teams are going to kind of snap out of it? Do you think last week was their preseason, or do you think it's going to take a little bit more time for these teams to heat up?
I think we still see a little bit lower of a touchdown, overall touchdown and an overall passing yards standpoint. But I don't really think I feel that way about either one of these teams. I know that the game last week between the Dolphins and Jags was 20-17, I think.
It was a rough game.
But I think that Jags defense is pretty good. And we sat here and talked about this Cardinals Bills game last week. The Cardinals put up 27 points, 24 points,
28 points,
and 28, and didn't even play that well in the second half as far as drops, penalties, and stuff going against them. I think this Miami Dolphins offense is lethal. Not making any hot take here by saying that, obviously. And I'm still, we still don't really know if or when this Buffalo defense is going to tighten up. But until then, I'm going to take these opposing teams against the Buffalo Bills to come out and score points.
I like that. That's a great point.
Especially when you have the duo of Tyreek Hill, who's, I mean, that guy's unstoppable, and Jalen Waddle, who looked good as well. I mean, as long as he's out there, I feel like you got to feel really good about your chances to go out there and score points if you're the Miami Dolphins.
I think that's fair. So I agree with you now about the points perspective. The Dolphins are going to be able to put points up against this Bills defense. And I think the Bills, some way, I don't know if it'll be passing or death by 1,000 cuts and him targeting 7 different receivers and whatever that might look like. But I do think that the Bills will be able to match points with them as well. They were able to do it last week against the Cardinals. Why wouldn't they be able to do it against the Dolphins as well? So yeah, I'm right with you. I think a lot of points get scored. You talked me back into it.
I can talk you back out of it quickly, though, I think.
Why?
And I think the best situation here for the Bills is they end up getting a lead and they just start running the crap out of the football and just keep it out of the Dolphins' hands, own the time of possession. I think that might be their best defense this football season, unless we see things change on the other side of the ball in these upcoming weeks.
Dude, this might sound really haterish, and it is what it is, but like the golden child teams of the NFL, like the Bills and the Chiefs, just always seem to get penalties when it matters and don't get penalties called on them when it matters. And I think that is going to be a major. The refs are going to be on the Bills side. I mean, it's just, I'm not being a hater. I watch every single game. The Bills and the Chiefs get every single call every single week. And I think that is just always something in the back of my head when you bet against the Chiefs or you bet against the Bills. Somehow in every single big spot, there is a flag that tends to like lean towards like something positive happening to the Bills or the Chiefs. I don't know why, but it's true.
It certainly feels like that happens more times than not.
So with that being said, I'm taking the over. I think even if the Bills do run the football, they just, for some reason, like James Cook was breaking off like 10-yard runs at a chunk, and Josh Allen doing the same thing. I think even if they are running the football, I think that their goal is to be fast paced, is to be moving quickly and getting plays off quick. That's what they did the entire week last week. I think we see the same exact thing.
Yeah, I like the Bills in this one too. I just don't know. I don't want to bet on the Dolphins at any point this season, so I'm not going to take them against the fighting Josh Allens.
What's your first game that you would like to bring up?
So my first game is Bucks Lions.
I have that.
Okay, so that's perfect. So both of these teams are coming off of like completely different type of wins. Bucks coming off a win against the Commanders where it wasn't really close. Baker was out there, dominated, 4 touchdowns, just under 300 yards. And then the Lions, we saw that on Sunday night overtime game, kind of like they let the Rams hang around, but then once overtime came in, they stepped right up and took over. NFC divisional playoff game rematch from last year. The one thing that I wanted to mention was I was looking through the stats of the Bucks Commanders, and the Bucks defense gave up 138 rushing yards last week. I think that number's a little skewed just because of how crazy Jaden Daniels ran all over them. It was more so his rushing attack rather than like an actual running back attack. And I think that's something that you have to take into account this week, because I think the Lions and Jared Goff, I don't think by any means Jared Goff's not going to be out there running around for 90 yards.
No,
but
he has bricks on his feet.
But they do have a much better running game than the Commanders. So I'll be interested to see.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Yeah, so I'm interested to see. Are they going to be able to just control the trenches against this Buccaneers team like they did in the overtime game, or in overtime at least? I mean, like I said at the beginning of this, Baker looked phenomenal. I'm really interested to see if he can go out there and do that again this week. He's going to have a little bit better of an offensive line situation than Matt Stafford did, so I don't expect that same type of pressure that Stafford had on Sunday night. And I think at this point, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, both healthy at the beginning of the year, is going to look a little bit better than just a solo Cooper Kupp going against that Lions defense. So I'm interested to see how that plays out.
Dude, I think 7.5 points is ridiculously too high.
I agree.
So I think like automatically, I think Bucks plus 7.5. Like, why not? The second thing that I think is of note is like, I think the Lions are going to have a really good defense, but the Rams absolutely attacked their young corners and their young secondary. Yeah. I think Carlton Davis is good, but I mean, ultimately he played on the Bucks, and like maybe they have something like maybe Mike Evans has a lean against him. Yeah, like a lean against him or whatever. I think Terrion Arnold's going to be really good, but he got absolutely torched last week. And I think that Chris Godwin isn't the same level as Cooper Kupp at all, but I think Chris Godwin is crafty enough to give him hell. Yeah. And I just like the matchup. I like the matchups of the Lions defense versus this Bucks defense and the Bucks offense versus the Lions defense, I think it's a recipe for a lot of points. It's funny that I just gave a analysis of like me saying that I don't like points in the NFL for the first 2 weeks, but I think the way that this is lined up to be had is I think that the points are just going to get scored.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
And Mike Evans is still good.
Mike Evans is definitely still good. I think him and Godwin are going to give these guys an issue, and I think Baker's going to have more time against this defensive line than Stafford did. I mean, we saw Aiden Hudson basically go untouched every play against that Rams O line. I think if Baker's smart with the football, takes care of the football, I think we're going to have a pretty tight game here. I think 7.5 is a little too high. I agree with you there. It was at 7 when I was writing this down at like 4:30.
Yeah, I think
it's already moved to half point.
Listen, I understand everybody loves the Lions and they're going to be a very popular team, but I mean, 7.5 points in an NFL game is just too much, especially against a team who's a playoff team last year. Like you said, it's fully healthy right now. Baker looked really good last week. Maybe we slept on Baker. I mean, it is what it is. But yeah, I definitely like the points in this game.
Anything else you got to add?
Nah.
Okay. What's your next game?
My next game is Rams at Cardinals. I think that there's major implications in the West for this game. Cardinals need to go out and win one. The Rams really need to go out and win one. I like both of these offenses. I think that a weakness for the Arizona I think that like the secondary, you can be inspired from what you saw from their secondary last week against the Bills. Something that you're not inspired by is that defensive line. They really need Darius Williams to come back to see any improvement on that defensive line. He'll be back at week 4. And another thing is they were not able to get any sort of pressure on the quarterback in any way, shape, or form. They were probably the worst in the NFL. But good news for them, the Rams have legitimately the P squad line out there, and we probably expect them to be able to get some sort of pressure on Matt Stafford. But from a run game perspective, I think Kyren Williams will probably have his way against the Cardinals this week. I think Kyren slept on and really good. But another game where I think that both teams are going to have to score a ton of points. This is going to be something that we're going to talk about with the Cardinals every single game this year. I think that something that we won't see again is Trey McBride having 9 targets and not being an impact player, and Marvin Harrison Jr. having 3 targets. He will finish with way more than that. I'm looking for a new look for this Arizona Cardinals offense after last week, kind of it being a question mark of the way that they were using their premier talent. But I think a ton of points get scored, and I am absolutely excited to watch this game. I think Matt Stafford versus Kyler Murray, having Cooper Kupp out there, we saw what happened last week. I just think that these two offenses are when you sit around and you like talk about like people who like watching casual football, a ton of points being scored, fantasy numbers being really good. This is that game, the parlay game.
Yeah.
Like this is that game that you want to
parlay game.
A parlay on, and it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. And that's why it's a highlight of mine, because I think both of these teams have really good players, good quarterbacks, and just deficiencies on the front. But I don't think that's going to matter. I think it's going to be a fun parlay game.
Yeah, I had this game as well. Both of these teams are coming off of very tough losses. Both have to be looking back at that week 1 and are like, damn, that we let those both slip away.
Yeah, we left one on the table.
The Rams' offensive line just couldn't be more beat up. Their center, offensive tackle, guard, right tackle, left tackle, all 4 out of 5 of them are 3 are injured, not playing. 1's day-to-day, and the other 1's suspended. And then on top of that, Puka's on the IR.
That's rough.
So just taping it together early in the football season, that's never great. But yeah, you hit the nail on the head. I think that this is going to be this is the parlay game. This is the Cooper Kupp, maybe 15 catches game, 150 yards, 175 yards. I think the Cardinals defense has a great opportunity here to step up and take over this football game. I know that their defensive line has some questions, but this offensive line for the Rams is basically duct taped together. And if I'm in that locker room, I take a look at that and I'm like, hey, we can use this game as a momentum building game for this defense. I agree with you. I think the offense is going to look a little different. I fully expect Marvin Harrison to make more of an impact, Trey McBride to make more of an impact. I expect the offense to make plays in the second half of this football game, unlike the first half of that game against the Bills. I love the Cardinals in this one. I love the over in this one. I think we've picked 3 overs so far.
Yeah, bat is not good.
No.
Yeah, like I said, I don't have a side because it seems like McVay owns the Cardinals, but I mean
he does. But I think this is the one.
If there's a time to do it, I would love to see the Cardinals win this game, obviously, but I do like the over and parlays to be placed.
I have one other thing that I wanted to talk about in this game. It's not even necessarily this game. It's just something that we were texting back and forth about. Can we relax with the screenshots and the videos where you only see like half the play on Twitter and then complain about how, oh, he's wide open? AKA Marvin Harrison, to be exact. That video was going around of him running downfield, arm flying up in the air. That you can't even see where Kyler Murray is at in the video. And then when you pan to Kyler Murray, you can't see what's happening in the secondary with Marvin Harrison. And everyone's all over Twitter, X. Oh, he's wide open. Why didn't Kyler make this throw? Can we just relax, please?
Bro, it's bad. And another thing that's bad too is Kyler said something along the lines of it was a big quote, and then the thing that got pulled out of the quote was like, that's not my job to get the ball to Marvin Harrison Jr. I leave that up to Drew. That's not what happened in the quote. That's not what was said. It was so misleading. Everybody, hey, but newsflash, there's fucking 6 throws that Josh Allen missed this past week of wide open targets that got pointed out on social media that nobody brings up. If you aren't one of the golden boys in the NFL right now, which is Josh Allen, which is Patrick Mahomes, and you pointed out, which is Joe Burrow, you're getting shit on no matter what. It sucks. It's not fun. It's annoying as fuck. There's a lot of good football players in the NFL. There's a lot of good quarterbacks. And I hope that the people who consume the game don't turn into NBA fans who, if you're not winning Super Bowls, championships, doing this, that, and the third, that you automatically suck. That's what it's turned into a little bit so far this preseason. This early in the season, I'm with you. It's fucking annoying.
Yeah. I mean, I think that it's extremely underestimated how difficult anticipating a play is in the NFL. There was a great video going around that displayed anticipation, and it was that Trevor Lawrence throw to Brian Thomas Jr. in the back of the end zone.
It was disgusting.
I don't think people realize how just absurd of a throw that is. And this same thing would apply to this Kyler Murray, Marvin Harrison situation. If Kyler tries to make that throw, that's an interception, and the game's over. Yeah. So to everybody that was yelling, why didn't he make the throw? Why didn't he make the throw? Like, these safeties are pretty good too. I get it's DeMar Hamlin and who was Taylor Rapp, but like those guys are pro safeties for a reason too. And that's a 50-yard throw into a window that is open for like half a second. So let's just take a deep breath. I think Dan Orlovsky did a phenomenal job of portraying just how difficult it was. So shout out Dan Orlovsky. We need more Twitter guys like you.
Definitely. What's your next game?
You're going to hate this one, but I've got 49ers Vikings on here.
Okay.
I'm interested in this game because last year the Niners went into Minnesota and lost. That was one of their few losses. I think the Vikings probably have a better team this year than when they beat the Niners last year. It's really tough sell because of how good the Niners looked last week, but I'm really interested to see this and just see, like, is Sam Darnold actually taking a step, or was it just the fact that he played the Giants last week and their defense isn't bad, but if they're on the field, you're eventually going to make a play. When we talked about the Jets Niners game, the thing that I pointed out was that the Jets had an advantage with Garrett Wilson. The Vikings have Justin Jefferson, and it looks like Jordan Addison is on pace to play. I'm seeing that he's listed as hopeful right now. So I think that's going to be a huge issue. I think the Vikings offensive line's pretty solid. And I think it's early enough in the year where you're having a healthy Aaron Jones. I know the spread's 6.5.
That boy's hairline need braces.
It's crazy. Go ahead, that's why he always wears a sombrero.
Sorry, my bad.
But yeah, I would like to see the Vikings take advantage of having two very solid wide receivers out there on the field against this defense. And it's just a matter of, can Sam Darnold get them the football? So I didn't see any receiving props up yet on FanDuel, but I'm just going to keep an eye on anything Justin Jefferson related, anything Jordan Addison related. But yeah, I'm kind of interested in this football game.
Yeah, I disagree. You're on an island. I don't give a shit about this football game.
I know. No, I know that. I know you did. I knew you wouldn't agree with me there. I was kind of just trying to keep it a little different because I figured we would both have the Bucs, the Lions. I figured we would both have Rams, Cardinals. So,
well, listen, the good games are the good games. The good games are the good games.
I completely agree. Agree. There's no denying that.
Next one that I have here is I wrote Cincy at Bengals, and that's not right.
That's definitely not right.
So Cincinnati at Chiefs. The Chiefs sucked last week. They lost to Jacoby Brissett.
You mean the Bengals? The Bengals lost.
The Bengals looked awful last week. They lost to Jacoby Brissett. The line's 5.5. They're going into Arrowhead, and for that reason, they're going to beat the Chiefs because it makes the NFL makes absolutely zero sense. And no, I don't know how I feel about this. I do think that the 49ers probably go out and take care of business. I feel like they should. Again, T. Higgins isn't playing. I think that
the Bengals. You just said the 49ers.
Whatever, dude. Like, I'm tired. The Bengals, like T. Higgins automatically somehow in some way, shape, or form tweaking his hamstring and then not playing back-to-back weeks right before the season starts is maybe the biggest cap of all time. He's not actually hurt. He's
playing on the tag.
It's weird. That's a situation that I'm monitoring the rest of the season. I don't know. I feel like the Chiefs should go out and take care of business, but for some reason the Bengals make no sense. I think that the Bengals have a clear talent deficiency on every level. Marius Mims already missed last week. I don't think he's going to play this week. T. Higgins isn't going to play this week. Their running back room looks a lot worse. The receiving room looks a lot worse. The defense looks a lot worse. They got absolutely manhandled. I think that's a strength of the Chiefs, being able to put the ball in Isaiah Pacheco's gut and having the line just kind of take care of it and do their thing. I don't think that their corners are going to be able to fuck with Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy, Travis Kelce. Hollywood Brown's not playing. I don't think it matters. I just think the Chiefs are a lot better football team than the Bengals right now, and they should go out and take care of business.
I didn't have this game down, but I look at this game as a don't overthink it game. I just think that the Chiefs are significantly better than this team. There was how many videos going around of Joe Burrow in between plays, like flexing his wrist, grabbing at his wrist, doing wrist circles.
It's concerning, bro.
The Bengals always start slow, and I think that trend's going to carry on. And this feels like a different type of start slow for the Bengals.
It does.
In years past, we've seen them start slow against, like, I think it was last year they started slow and they lost to the Cowboys. The Cowboys are a playoff team. This year you start slow and you lose to the Patriots, who people think are going to be one of the worst teams in the NFL. Now, maybe the Patriots are better than everybody thinks, and they're not going to be that bad, but I don't think anybody's penciling them in as a playoff team. Joe Burrow didn't have the same wrist injury at the beginning of last season. T. Higgins didn't have the same hamstring injury going into the beginning of last season. They didn't have to worry about Jamar Chase. Is he going to play or not 15 minutes before the game? The defense is worse. They can't stop the run. Isaiah Pacheco is going to run all over these guys. This is a don't overthink it for me.
Yeah, I'm with you. I just listen. We'll probably look stupid as fuck if the Bengals just go out and beat them.
I'll take accountability if I do. Right hand up.
But
if we look bad.
But I'm with you. I just don't. I said it before the season even started. I just don't think the Bengals are a good football team. I think that the Joe Burrow wrist injury is like the most downplayed thing right now, like ever. Like I saw that the media asked him about it, and he was like, "What, did I pick up the water bottle weird?" It's like, brother, you know exactly what everybody's talking about. Like, you don't look good. You're playing with your wrist the entire game. Like, if you don't want anybody to ask questions about your wrist, like, don't sit around grabbing at it for fucking 3.5 hours. So yeah, I'm worried about it. I'm definitely worried about the Bengals.
Also, if you're gonna dye your hair blonde, it looks a lot worse when you lose to a 9.5 point underdog. So either keep your helmet on, maybe wear a shiesty if you're Joe Burrow, or just don't, or just shave your head.
How about Joe Burrow? How about you clean it the fuck up? No, they're just.
Yeah, it looks bad. It looks way worse if you're bad and do that.
I get what you're talking about. Like, just clean it up. You lost to the Patriot last week.
Yeah,
I don't have anything else.
Me neither. I think that's just a clear don't overthink it. It's in Arrowhead too. I mean, if the Bengals go in there and win, I'll take accountability. That's on me. But I don't think they stand a snowball's chance in hell.
Yeah, I'm with you. What's your next game?
I mean, we covered all of mine, but I did have
perfect.
Down here,
I have a game.
That's perfect.
Is it the same game that I have?
What is it?
And if it's not, like, just throw your game out.
Yeah, I will throw it out.
What game is it?
It's not going to be because we preview this game on Sunday night. So
okay, so the game that I think that we should probably end it off on then is Bears Texans.
Yeah.
One, that line is way too big. 6.5 point underdogs. Listen, I love the Texans. The Texans just almost lost to the Colts. I think that the Bears are a significantly better football team than the Colts defensively, and I think that their offense is going to click at some point. I saw that Keenan Allen's has a heel. I know Rome Odunze is going to have a knee. I don't think that matters. I think Keenan Allen's going to play. I don't think Rome Odunze is that big of a loss for them at this juncture.
Correct.
I think that their running game is going to pick up. I think Caleb Williams is going to play a lot better. I don't know if they go in and win this football game, but 6.5 points is entirely too much. That's a massive overreaction by the book from last week. I think that the Bears are able to turn it around and look like a different football team going into this week.
See, I feel good about this Bears defense. I'm just more concerned that this Texans team is just significantly better coached and has a better quarterback than the Titans did. I mean, the Titans were winning that game and just pissed it away in the second half with horrible quarterback play. I don't think we're going to see that same thing out of CJ Stroud.
Do you think that we see Caleb Williams throw for 90 yards again?
I was just going to say, though, I think Caleb Williams is going to have a little bit better of a game, but I do think this Texans offense is still better than that Titans, or this Texans defense is better than that Titans defense. So, like,
no shit.
I'm excited to watch this game for sure. I do think 6.5 is fair, though.
If my question to you right now is, if Anthony Richardson doesn't miss 2 wide open touchdown passes and beat the Texans last week, is this line 3.5? It is.
If the Colts win against the Texans, you're saying?
Yeah, if Anthony Richardson doesn't miss 2 wide open touchdown passes last week, is this line 3.5?
See,
yes.
I don't know.
Bro,
because I'm not seeing that same thing out of Caleb. We saw nothing out of Caleb Williams. Like that might have been the worst game of football I've ever seen out of that guy.
Yeah, and
I don't know if it's going to get that much better to keep it within a touchdown over 1 week.
And then on the other side of things too, their rushing attack last week had like 40 yards. Bro,
it was shut down.
The Bears won't play that bad of a game on offense again for the rest of the year. They just won't.
Yeah, I think so. I just think this Titans team.
You're sleeping on their defense is tough, bro. They have a tough D line.
The Bears defense is tough.
No. I'm saying the Titans. The Titans have a tough D. Their D line's good. Their linebackers are good. Their secondary is good. Like I don't think that's an overreaction in any way, shape, or form. Like, I just think that Will Levis legitimately pissed the game away for that.
That's my bigger thing is I see the Texans go up. They can go up by a touchdown and they get one stop and then it's over. I mean, I don't know. I just think the coaching and the competency out of CJ Stroud and the Texans coaching staff is just much better than the Titans. Like the Titans should have won that football game by more than a touchdown.
I'm taking Bears in the points. I don't think that we see the Bears offense look that bad for the rest of the season. And
the Bears also scored 2 special teams touchdowns.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I love it for fantasy. I have them, but I don't see that happening again.
I don't either. I see them scoring multiple offensive touchdowns.
Okay. You think the offense is going to be better?
100%, bro.
I mean, the bar was on the floor.
But bro, the bar's on the Caleb Williams will. I'm saying right now that like if Caleb Williams goes out and throws for 90 yards again, I'm worried about Caleb. Like I will come 100%. On this pod and say I'm worried. Like I don't think he has it. Like I think that we see like an absolute bounce back game from Caleb Williams in the offense. Like a serious one.
And, I hope so. I want that.
Yeah, and I think that like I get what you're saying about coaching, but no, I don't think that I'm not going to pick them to win, but I think a full touchdown, if they're not able to keep this game within a full touchdown, there is going to be like fires lit at Soldier Field. Like I'm just saying, like if you can't keep it within a touchdown, like they're going to be like, okay, we looked like shit last week. The offense looked like shit again, and we got blown out by the Texans. Like there's going to be a real conversation to be had. And I think that like this offense is going to have a big bounce back week. I think it's going to look really good.
But the Texans are the Texans could be really really good. I don't know. I'm right now I'm leaning as we sit here on Wednesday at 11 or at Wednesday 9/11 at 6:43. I think I like the Texans minus 6.5.
The Texans are going to be really good, but like I said, we were talking about how the Rams and the Cardinals feel like they left one on the table. Colts feel the same exact way. That was a very achievable game. I look at the Bears offense and what could be accomplished with that skill group. We were speaking extremely highly of this skill group to start the year. I look at them on the same level, if not better, as the Colts. So I think that like I don't see why the Bears would not be able to go out and put up a competent offensive performance where we sat around and questioned what Anthony Richardson would be able to do. He obviously didn't have, like, when you really dig into it, the best offensive game, but they were able to put up points. And I think that they'll be able to put up points against the Texans defense.
Okay, well, I could be persuaded.
Didn't score an offensive touchdown last week.
Yeah, I know that. Obviously, they look. They're due. They're really due.
Time. No, no. If the Bears who they say they are, it's time.
Well, I agree. This is a
playoff team. This is a playoff team. That was a playoff team. This was a playoff team last year. You're going against CJ Stroud. You're playing in the primetime slot. If the Bears, who they say they are, they cover 6.5 points and give this team a game. If they don't, They are going to be the talking point on every single show in America on fucking the next day, on the entire week, because it's going to be like, if Caleb Williams struggles, it's going to be a massive talking point. And
for sure.
I think it's a fair talking point to be had, because you threw up a stinker week 1, we'll give you a pass, go out on prime time versus a playoff team and show us what you're about.
I mean, hey, I hope that that's how it goes. But as of today, I'm sitting at 6.5 for the Texans.
All right, word. Do you have anything else?
As I was going through these games, I was like, there's some games where I wish in this Cardinals-Rams game there wasn't as many like injuries, because although we did highlight that game as one of our games, like I think this game could be just like so much better. Like, see if we had Puka out there too, and and then I was looking at the Colts-Packers game too. That was another game that, first glance, I'm like, damn, if Jordan Love was playing for the Packers, I think this game would be more enjoyable of a watch too.
Yeah, it would be sick, but I mean, that's not what happened.
You're
best
right,
bets,
correct.
Best bets early in the week. I'll probably have more, obviously, right away. Colts -3 on the road. I just don't believe in Malik Willis. I don't think that that's a hot take. I think that until Jordan Love gets back, I think the Packers are going to have a hard time weathering this storm. They felt so bad about Sean Clifford that they had to go out and get somebody like literally a week before the season started, and now he's their starting quarterback. Nightmare situation. Another one that I have is the over in the Bills-Dolphins game, and that's a parlay game. If you want to see some parlays that we cook up, or if you guys have any ideas of some parlays that you cook up, join the Discord, post them in the NFL tab, and let's see what you have. I think this is going to be one of those games that'll be a fun parlay game.
I think 2 bets. I haven't taken anything yet, but 2 things that I'm looking at right now is, I spoke very highly of the Chiefs earlier as my don't overthink it game. I think them to win by a touchdown is more than capable. And then same thing with the Chargers at Carolina. Chargers are -5.5. I think they're going to go out there and win by a touchdown as well.
I respect that. All right. Well, that's all I have. Do you have anything else before we close out today?
Why has there not been, like, when I was looking earlier, why have they not put up the like player props yet? Is it specifically for this Minnesota Vikings game? I was looking for Justin Jefferson. Is that because we are unsure about Addison?
Yeah, you just said Addison's not playing.
I thought that's what it was.
To be playing yet.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. Another thing that I did have on here is, I might be all in on an Amon-Ra St. Brown bounce back game.
Oh, well, yeah, obviously.
He was very quiet last week. Jameson Williams showed out, which was cool, but we see Amon.
Who'd he show out on? The guy that I was down on all off season. I said, if Tre'Davious White is your number 1 corner, you have a serious problem. And he went and got absolutely torched by J-Mo.
Yeah, it was bad. He was looking old.
Yeah, that's what happens when you come off of an Achilles and an ACL, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I've only ever come off an Achilles.
Dude, I will never figure out, because I will never move as briskly enough to put myself in the situation. I literally played pickup basketball and came down on a rebound and snapped my ankle in 2, and that was the day where I was like, yeah, it's over. Like, I'm not going to be in a walking boot going into my office job. Like it's just a bad
at 26.
Look. Yeah, it's just a really, really bad look.
It's terrible. You should have pulled up in a wheelchair.
I've done that before. If you when I was in elementary school, I got hit by. Well, when I was in elementary school, I broke my leg and was in a wheelchair for picture day. And then in middle school, I got smacked by a car and was also in a wheelchair for a little bit for that time too. So I have been in a wheelchair 2 separate times in my life.
Wow. People forget.
I mean, I'm just a warrior. I'm a warrior.
You're not wrong.
But week 2 is upon us. I can't wait to watch college football again this weekend. And that's all I have. And we'll be back on Sunday night.
We'll be back Sunday. Go Birds.
White clouds blowing out when we max 4-5, not the size, but it kick up highlight of my life, man.